Hey, it's I think day 138. I'm kind of losing track here. And so we stayed at Shaw's Hostel in Monson, Maine last night. We're still staying there. And so today is almost a short day. We're doing just a little over 6 miles. Basically walking to the start of the 100-mile wilderness. We spent most of the morning, beautiful day by the way. We spent most of the morning trying to plan out the 100-mile wilderness and Baxter and Katahdin. It's a little complicated, probably the most complicated part of the trail. A lot of stuff you got to figure out, permits, distances, all that stuff. So anyways, we're getting it all sorted. I think we'll figure it out, and I'm sure it'll all work out. We reached a viewpoint right up the trail, and as so often the case, the trees have grown up, and I mean, you can kind of see a view over the trees. Somebody built a bench here you can sit on and you can look at the view and hang out. And yeah, it's not really happening. But it was a view, I guess, at one point before all this growth came up. We're almost 4.5 miles in, maybe. We've climbed up about 1,000 feet. I think this is called Buck Hill. We just reached pretty much the summit. Now we're going to be descending. And we're going to be descending down to Route 15, where we're going to get picked up by Vanish. It's been a pretty easy trail, really. So not a good test of anything, but still over 1,000 feet. And the good news is I feel pretty good. My knee doesn't hurt very much, so yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. Makes me wonder though if the knee thing is more related to pack weight, because I am slack packing today, and yeah, and the knee seems to hurt much more of a thing when I'm doing a full pack, 18-pound pack or whatever, compared to, I think I'm carrying like 3.5 pounds right now. Just mainly the water, a couple of snacks, first aid kit, poop kit. That's it. So in our research this morning, talking to Poet at Shaw's and to the Ridge Runner at the ATC, we've learned just a ton. And some of what we thought we knew about the 100-mile wilderness is not really that accurate. So yeah, we need to we've been trying to digest all the stuff we learned and figure out a plan. So yeah. Right, so my prior understanding of 100-mile wilderness was basically that there was this trail that runs 100 miles or so from Monson, Maine up to Baxter State Park where Katahdin is, and that it was pretty desolate and you had not much in the way of resupply or lodging or anything else along the way. Okay, so yeah, there are some hikers who will hike the entire thing and carry all the food they need and try to do it in probably 5 or 6 days. They do good miles per day. Many hikers will do it in 8 to 9 days, maybe even 10, and carry 4 days of food and get a resupply in the middle. So hostels like Shaw's offer resupply services. So for, I think, roughly $75, you pack all the food you want into a 5-gallon bucket with a lid, put your name on the tape, and they will arrange to drop it off for you, probably around a halfway point, one of the road crossings. Now, the problematic issue with that is they don't drop the food off and you come across it. They give you the food out of the 5-gallon bucket at the arranged point in time. And in their own words, from what I heard, they might wait 30 minutes for you. So, as you know, it's not always easy to hit a certain point at a certain time on the AT. And they said, well, you can message us with cell, but the problem is that your cell service on the AT is limited. So that could be problematic. Anyways, it's just one of those logistical things you have to work out. but makes it, to me, less desirable way to do things. Anyways, that was my understanding of how the AT 100-mile wilderness worked. In talking to Poet at Shaw's, he was pointing out all the roads that you could take to access the 100-mile wilderness, including some that don't go all the way to the trail, but stop short, and you could park the vehicle and the hiker could walk down. I think one was a 0.8 hike, 0.8 miles, but many were pretty short. And in some cases, the road intersected the trail right away. In some cases, they had parking, and probably in most cases you don't. And in some cases, you pay something like an $18 charge to the logging company to have access to that road. But he noted that if you wanted to, you could pretty much slackpack the entire 100-mile wilderness. In other words, he divided it up into almost even 15-mile sections, each with a road crossing that you could get to, which makes us go, I wonder if we could do that. But we're not 100% sure we could get the vehicle up these roads. That's always a concern. Poet at Shaw's was like very optimistic, like, oh yeah, you can do that. All these roads are well graded, etc. Nothing too steep. So that's his input. I think there's still some concern that maybe he's optimistic, and we don't want to get into a situation where we're screwed. So the problem with committing to a 15-mile slack pack is, what if the van can't get there? Now what do? You don't have sleeping equipment. You don't have food for the next day. You're kind of in trouble. So, as an insurance, you could take a full pack. But you take a full pack, it's going to make the 15 miles a lot harder. So, yeah, that's the conundrum that we're dealing with, trying to figure out what we're doing here. It could be interesting. In any case, we have a lot of options in the 100-mile wilderness that we didn't know we had. We could just split it up into 3 or 4 sections. We'll have to figure that out. And then we get into Baxter. And so, we learned that the van is 11 inches too tall to be allowed into Baxter. So that's not an option. And that we have to show up and get in line to get a spot reserved at Birches, which is the Thru hiker camping area at the base of Katahdin. And then you'd hike 10 miles up from the gateway into Baxter up to Birches, and then I guess hike the next day up to Katahdin and back down. Of course, then what do you do then? Because now you still don't have a van. Do we arrange a shuttle? Maybe. There is a hostel nearby, or do we? There is a shortcut you could take. It's about 4 miles, I think. Just hike down, which is not too bad. Yeah. So there's some questions we need to figure out in terms of getting in and how we're going to do Baxter / Katahdin. It's probably the most problematic thing that you're going to do on the entire AT in terms of logistics and figuring out and permits and all that. So we'll see. We'll work it out. Yeah, we're nearing the end of today's hike. I said a pretty short hike, pretty easy to hike, pretty uneventful hike. So not much to show, not much to video. And me rambling on about 100-mile wilderness and Baxter and that. But yeah, it's been a good day. And we're heading back to, we're going to first get picked up at Route 15 and head back to Shaw's. I think the plan is for me to get dropped off. I can go back to work, and then Buzz and Vanish are going to drive over to the something pond road to see if it's indeed drivable. And that would be our first 15-mile stint of the 100-mile wilderness. And if they feel like they can drive to the end of the pickup point, then we can for sure slack pack the 15 miles. We'll see. All right, so where did we last see you?
Oh, it was like 8 miles before the knock at Tellico Gap.
Oh, you're good.
Tellico Gap.
Tellico Gap,
Down in
you're
North
right.
Carolina.
But at that time, you were named what?
I was Clementine at the time.
Right, and what are you now?
Slingshot.
Slingshot. And which way are you headed now, Slingshot?
Southbound.
Southbound, that's kind of weird. So you flipped up to Katahdin and now you're headed down to Delaware Water Gap?
That's the plan.
Awesome. Great talking to you again.
Yeah, you